The woman my wife was trying to save, her long-lost love, looked down at his hands. Isabella, maybe we should just forget it, Julian Croft murmured, his voice laced with a practiced melancholy. I don't want my illness to come between you two. It's better if I just fade away. Isabella Vance's brow tightened. Leukemia requires a bone marrow transplant. Julian, you know that. Her voice was clipped, efficient, the same tone she used to close billion-dollar deals. There are no matches for you in the registry. The only viable option is a biological match. A child. She softened her tone, a rare occurrence. Don't worry. I'll find a way to save you. But Julian's gaze flickered toward me, a carefully constructed look of apology on his handsome face. To ask you to go through IVF. For me? What would Leo think? Leo, what are your thoughts? Isabella turned to me, her sharp blue eyes pinning me in place. She seemed to expect a specific answer. The scene was so familiar it made my head spin. I wasn't just having déjà vu. I was reborn. I knew, because the last time this happened, my refusal to let my CEO wife have a child to save her first love got me locked in a mansion's panic room. I have severe claustrophobia. I begged her to let me out, but she was already gone, leaving for a fertility clinic in Europe. Her last words to me echoed in my memory. When you've realized your mistake and you're ready to stop being selfish, I'll let you out. It was a matter of pride. My pride. I wouldn't yield. But as she left, she abandoned our 4-year-old daughter, Lily, in the care of a new nanny and security team. The first day in that steel-walled box, I could faintly hear Lily's gut-wrenching sobs. She was screaming for her daddy. The thought of my little girl, so small and alone, broke me. I gave in. I pounded on the door, screaming that I agreed to anything. But it was too late. I learned later that they were never going to let me out. Ms. Vance is gone. A guard had sneered through the door. Mr. Croft wants us to give you some special attention. Help you reflect a little. Deeper. The guards weren't Isabella's. They were Julian's. On the second day, I couldn't hear Lily crying anymore. Panic, real and suffocating, clawed at my throat. I screamed her name until my voice was gone. The darkness pressed in. Without food or water, hallucinations began to warp the edges of my reality. On the third day, a shriek from somewhere in the house pierced the silence. The little brat's dead. What do we do? A rough voice answered. Keep your mouth shut. We can't let Miss Vance know. If she asks, we say Leo did it. We'll say we let him out because he was having a breakdown and he killed his own daughter in a fit of rage. With Mr. Croft in her ear, she'll believe it. That's when I finally understood. It was all Julian's plot. His leukemia, a lie. His endgame, my destruction. He and Isabella, one with malice and the other with cold indifference, had murdered my daughter, my sweet Lily. The thought shattered the last of my sanity, and, as my claustrophobia consumed me, I died with a heart full of hate. The memory was still a raw, open wound, but this time I wouldn't let it happen. Leo, Isabella's voice, sharp with impatience, pulled me back. I'm talking to you. Do you agree? To me having a child via IVF to help Julian? I snapped out of my trance, my eyes darting around the cavernous living room, searching. There, hiding between the posts of the grand staircase on the second floor, a tiny head peeked out. Lily. A wave of relief washed over me, so powerful it almost buckled my knees. She was safe. I turned back to Isabella, my expression carefully neutral. A baby is a big decision, I said, my voice eerily calm. It's your body. It's your call. I don't have an opinion. To my astonishment, my compliance didn't appease her. It made her furious. Leo. Isabella's face was a mask of cold fury. Your wife is proposing to have a child for another man. How can you have no opinion? What the hell? This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Last time, my opposition was the problem. Now, my agreement was? Was she just looking for an excuse to lock me away again? A cold sweat prickled my skin. No, not again. I couldn't let her find a reason. You tell me what to do, I said carefully, choosing my words as if navigating a minefield. I'll support whatever you think is best. She stared at me, her eyes narrowed, searching my face for any hint of deception. I was lying through my teeth, of course, but I couldn't let her see it. I couldn't die again. Not like that. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. Finally, she seemed to accept my answer, though her expression remained stormy. She turned to Julian. Julian, about the IVF. I can find a surrogate, she said coolly. Money isn't an issue. I'll cover everything. Then, she glanced at me, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. Julian and I grew up together. I can't just stand by and watch him die. Julian's face clouded over for a split second before he rearranged it into a mask of profound gratitude. Thank you, Isabella. Thank you. That's the best way. You won't have to suffer, and Leo won't be upset. As soon as I'm better, I swear I'll work my fingers to the bone to pay you back. Don't worry about it, Isabella said, waving a dismissive hand. Consider it my way of repaying you for saving my life all those years ago. He'd save her life? That was news to me. And Isabella's attitude. It was completely different from last time. Was this all an act for my benefit? It had to be. No matter what, my plan remained the same. Get Lily and get the hell out of here. Lily's birthday is tomorrow, Isabella said, turning to me, her expression suddenly softening into something resembling hope. Let's take her to the amusement park. The three of us. I felt a jolt. Reborn Isabella was a different person. Last time, she barely acknowledged my existence, let alone her own daughters. She would never change. Her heart belonged to Julian. What was this new performance for? Oh, Andy. A tiny, hesitant voice drifted down from the stairs. It was Lily. Are you really going to take me to the amusement park? A flash of pain crossed Isabella's face, but she forced a smile. Of course, sweetie. I'm your mother. Of course I'm going to spend your birthday with you. Mom. Lily whispered the word, her small lips trembling, her big eyes filled with tears, her face a canvas of pure disbelief. For years, Isabella had forbidden Lily from calling her mom. I knew how desperately my daughter longed to say that word. Isabella smiled and took a step forward, her arms open to embrace her. Isabella, don't. I moved instinctively, blocking her path, my body a shield in front of my daughter. Lily immediately clung to my leg, hiding behind me. Leo, Isabella's expression was a mixture of confusion and hurt. I just want to hug her. Hearing her call me by my name, not the cold, formal Leo Miller she usually used, sent a tremor through me. In my previous life, I never heard her say my name with such softness. If I hadn't died such a brutal death, I might have actually believed she meant it. Daddy, Lily looked up at me, her eyes wide with a fragile hope. Is what Annie said true? Lily, I'm your mother. Isabella cut in before I could answer, her voice strained. Why do you call me Annie? I laughed, a cold, bitter sound. Weren't you the one who made the rules, Isabella? I'm not to be called your husband in public, and Lily is not to be called your daughter. I remembered when Lily was just learning to talk, and the first word she'd uttered was a gleeful mama. Isabella's reaction? She'd had the nanny lock our daughter in her room until she cried herself into a dead faint. I come home just in time to find her. If I'd been any later, Lily would have died then and there. And Miss Vance. Lily choked back her tears and suddenly dropped to her knees on the polished marble floor. A gesture so foreign and desperate it tore my heart out. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have called you Mom. I was wrong. Please don't punish me. Seeing her like that, my hatred for Isabella burned hotter than ever. What kind of monster terrifies her own child into such a state? She was Lily's mother, for God's sake. Isabella's face went white. Her lips moved, but no words came out. She reached for Lily again, but my daughter flinched away, pressing herself tighter against me. Isabella's hands froze in midair. She looked at me, her eyes pleading for help. I ignored her. I scooped Lily into my arms, holding her tight. It's okay, sweetie, I whispered. Daddy's here. You're safe. Lily buried her face in my shoulder, her small body trembling with silent sobs. She didn't dare make a sound, not in front of Isabella. Ms. Vance, I said, my voice flat and devoid of emotion. Thank you for remembering Lily's birthday. But you have that important project meeting tomorrow. We won't trouble you. I can push the meeting, she said, her voice desperate. A strange feeling washed over me. This Isabella truly was different. But it didn't matter. The years of cruelty and neglect couldn't be erased. The fact remained, she didn't love us. Daddy, Lily whispered, tugging on my shirt collar after a moment. Will she really come with us tomorrow? I will. Isabella jumped in before I could reply. No matter what, I will be there for my daughter's birthday. Looking at the flicker of genuine joy on Lily's face, I relented. Fine. We'd appreciate that, Ms. Vance. Lily's one wish was to have her mother with her, just once. I couldn't deny her that. Isabella's tense shoulders finally relaxed. Her mood seemed to lift instantly. Lily, she said, her voice bright. I'm going to take Julian to the hospital now to get the surrogacy process started. I'll be back early, and we can have dinner together, okay? She leaned in and pressed a kiss to my forehead and then to Lily's. My daughter went rigid, as if she couldn't believe it was happening. Okay, I replied, not resisting. I couldn't risk her sensing my plan to leave. Any change in her behavior could ruin everything. Isabella beamed, then took Julian's arm to lead him out. At the door, she seemed to remember something and quickly dropped his arm, creating a respectable distance between them. Let's go. My assistant has already contacted the surrogacy agency. As she left, she glanced back at us, a gentle smile on her face I had never seen before. Daddy. The moment Isabella's car was out of sight, Lily's demeanor changed. What's wrong with Miss Vance? I didn't answer. I had no idea what game Isabella was playing. Daddy, I don't want to live here anymore, Lily said, her little hands twisting the hem of her dress. I'm scared. Can we leave, please? Can we go somewhere else? My heart stopped. Did she know? Did she somehow sense my plan? Lily, I said, my voice low and serious. Tell Daddy why you want to leave. I had a really bad dream, Daddy, she whispered, her voice trembling. I dreamed you were locked in a dark room, and I couldn't find you. And the man and lady wouldn't give me any food, and they hit me. Her eyes filled with tears. It hurts so much, Daddy. I was so hungry. I promise I won't cry anymore. I won't make them mad. A tremor ran through my body. I clamped my hand gently over her mouth. Lily, it was just a dream. A bad dream. I didn't realize I was shaking, that tears were streaming down my own face. Lily, she was reborn too. She was just too young to understand what had happened, mistaking the horrific memory for a nightmare. But it felt so real, she sobbed. It hurts so much. Can we? Yes, I interrupted, pulling her into a fierce hug. We're leaving. Right now. I carried her upstairs, and we started packing. We didn't have much. Everything fit into 2 suitcases. I grabbed our IDs, birth certificates, and the single bank card in my name. Everything else, all the empty trappings of this life, I threw into trash bags. Whatever game Isabella was playing, it didn't matter. We had to escape this hell. And one last thing. I grabbed the divorce papers she'd had her lawyer draft 5 years ago. She had made me sign them back then, telling me that if the day ever came when she wanted out, I was to accept it without question. It was finally proving useful. She was about to get exactly what she wanted. Mr. Miller? Where are you going? The housekeeper, Maria, intercepted us as we headed for the door with our suitcases. Oh, Julian is staying the night for some preliminary checkups. He needs quiet. I lied smoothly. Lily and I are just going to crash at the old apartment for a night so we don't disturb him. Hearing Julian's name, Maria nodded without suspicion. She shook her head and muttered under her breath, I don't know what the madam is thinking, ignoring a good man and a sweet little girl like you for that. That Mr. Croft. She turned and went back to the kitchen. Lily and I exchanged a quick glance, a silent sigh of relief. Stepping out of the grand gates, I looked back one last time at the house I had called home for 5 years. My mind flooded with memories. I'd met Isabella in a small jazz club downtown. I was singing there part-time, just to keep my mind off Chloe. Isabella was always there alone, a storm cloud of a woman in designer clothes, drinking high-end whiskey like it was water. She'd request song after song, but never seemed to listen, her eyes fixed on her glass. After a few nights of this, I went over to her table during my break. She looked up, and I was struck by the profound loneliness in her eyes. I apologized for intruding. Don't be, she'd said, a rare, stunning smile gracing her lips. Stay, have a drink. We drank until closing. Then she grabbed my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. Will you marry me? She'd asked, her voice a strange mix of command and desperation. I'll be good to you, I promise. Her boldness captivated me. The next day, we were at City Hall. A month later, she was pregnant. I quit my singing gig to be a stay-at-home dad. It was only after we were married that I found out the truth. She'd married me on a whim, in a fit of pique because her great love, Julian Croft, had posted on Facebook that he was getting married. I was just a pawn in her game. I'd suggested divorce. But by then she knew she was pregnant with Lily. After our daughter was born, I never brought it up again. Until Julian came back to the States, divorced and supposedly sick. She spent a month with him, not even coming home. That's when I demanded a divorce. Her response was to double down, to propose this insane IVF scheme. When I refused, she killed us. The memories were like shards of glass in my soul. But this time was different. This time, Lily and I were free. Goodbye, Isabella. I hope for your sake you're smart enough to leave us alone. I didn't call an Uber. I flagged down a yellow cab. You heading to Clay County, Ohio? I asked the driver. The cabbie chuckled. You kidding me, pal? That's like 1,000 miles away. I'm serious, I said, my voice steady. Name your price. He sized me and Lily up, then made a quick call to his wife to tell her he'd be gone for a while. All right, look, on the meter, it's going to be a fortune. How about a flat rate? Flat rate is good, I said, anxious to get moving. If Isabella came home and found us gone, she'd have the entire city locked down. Her possessiveness wouldn't allow us to just disappear. It's about $3,000 in gas and tolls, plus I got to drive back empty. Call it 5,000. I'll give you 10, I said, pulling out my phone and showing him the Venmo transfer screen. But I need you to do one thing for me. I explained that I needed him to swap cars once we got near the airport. The driver's eyes narrowed with suspicion. Hey man, I ain't no kidnapper's taxi service. I'm not a kidnapper, I sighed. Lily, can you please explain to the nice man? Lily, bless her heart, turned on the charm. Mister, she said in her sweetest voice, this is my daddy. My mommy doesn't want us to go visit my grandma, so we're pretending to go on a trip. If we switch cars, she can't track us, and she won't be mad. The driver still looked skeptical, so I pulled out my wallet and showed him my ID and Lily's birth certificate. Hey, your wife's name is Isabella Vance, he said, surprised. Same name as that big shot CEO of Vance Industries. I just smiled. All right, I got you, he said, his suspicion finally easing. My wife can meet us with our family car on a service road by the airport. Hop in, kiddo. Let's hit the road. BZZZT. My phone vibrated. A new iMessage. It was Isabella. Audio message. Leo, I'm all done here. I'm on my way home. I didn't block her. I simply logged out of my Apple ID, powered down the phone, and popped out the SIM card. I held it between my fingers for a second before flicking it out the window. Goodbye, New York City. Just as promised, we pulled onto a quiet, unmonitored service road near LaGuardia. A black sedan was waiting, its flashers blinking. After a quick switch, we were on our way west to Clay County, Ohio. The scenery changed from concrete towers to rolling green hills, and Lily watched, mesmerized, out the window. After a grueling 24 hours on the road, we arrived. I bought a beat-up pickup truck for a few $100s and drove us the last few miles to my old family home. Seeing the small, weathered farmhouse, clean and tidy despite being empty for years, brought a lump to my throat. After my parents passed, I'd left for the city, assuming the place would fall into ruin. Someone had been taking care of it. The old neighbors greeted me with warm smiles and open arms, their kindness a balm on my wounded soul. They all gushed over how polite and sweet Lily was. I wasn't worried about Isabella finding us. She never knew this place existed. But just in case, I went to the county courthouse. I filed to have her legal records sealed and applied for a name change for both of us. I was going to erase Leo and Lily Miller from the face of the earth. 10 days later, it was official. I was now Adam Cole. A simple, strong name. For Lily, I chose Stella. Stella Cole. A star, a new light for our new life. A month later, we were settled in the renovated farmhouse. I dropped Stella at the local preschool, then spent my days writing code for freelance projects and tending to the small vegetable garden I planted. Life was quiet, peaceful. Then one afternoon, while I was out in the garden, an unexpected visitor arrived. Adam, your old lady's here. My childhood friend, Dave, came running out to the garden, out of breath and frantic. My wife. My blood ran cold. Isabella. She'd found us. Forgetting the half-water tomatoes, I sprinted past a bewildered Dave, my heart pounding against my ribs. I ran straight to the preschool. I saw Stella through the window, playing with other kids, and the knot in my chest loosened. She was safe. When school let out, I grabbed her hand, intending to pack up and run again. But it was too late. Dave had brought the visitor right to the school's gate. When I saw who it was, I froze. The words caught in my throat. Man, Adam, what's with you? Dave grumbled. You run like a bat out of hell. Your wife's been waiting for ages. I ignored him, my gaze fixed on her. How'd she find this place? Are you okay? She asked, a gentle smile playing on her lips, the same smile that could light up a room. The joy of seeing me again was written all over her beautiful face. Dude, what is your problem? Dave elbowed me, lowering his voice. This wife of yours, man, she's not just gorgeous, she's a saint. For the past few years, she's the one who's been cleaning up your parents' place. Every time she comes, she brings gifts to the whole town. He nudged me again. You really made it, buddy. See that new paved road? She said you paid for it. The new wing on the elementary school? Your donation, she said. Dave's words hit me like a physical blow. I stared at the woman in front of me. You did all that. My voice was hoarse. Well, you weren't here to do it, she said, her smile as warm as the summer sun. So I just came by to check on things once in a while. I never thought I'd actually find you here. It was her, Chloe Reed, my college girlfriend, my first love. Daddy, who's this pretty lady? Stella asked, breaking the spell. I clear my throat, embarrassed. Stella, this is Chloe Reed. She's an old friend of Daddy's. You can call her Miss Chloe. Chloe, we were inseparable in college. We had a plan, stay in New York after graduation, work our asses off, save up for a down payment, and get married. Then, one day she just vanished. I searched for her everywhere. I was about to file a missing persons report when two men in expensive suits showed up. They were sent by her parents. They gave me a check for $5 million and told me to stay away from their daughter. I refused the money, but they were relentless. They used their power and influence to make my life a living hell. That's when I learned the truth. Chloe was the heiress to a vast fortune, a blue blood from an old East Coast family. She was being recalled to be married off in a strategic alliance. I was just a boy from a poor town in Ohio. I never stood a chance. Heartbroken, I started singing in that smoky jazz club, trying to numb the pain. The day after Isabella and I drunkenly got married, I saw a headline in the Wall Street Journal. The high-profile merger and the marriage that would have sealed it had been called off. The bride, it was rumored, had refused. After that, I never heard another word about Chloe Reed. To think that all these years, she was the one taking care of my family's home. Why don't you come back to the house for dinner? The words felt clumsy and strange coming out of my mouth. Back to the house. Chloe's voice broke. She closed the distance between us in a few quick steps and threw her arms around me, sobbing with joy. My hero, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I've been waiting to hear you say that for 5 years. My hero? An old, familiar nickname from a life I thought was gone forever. Chloe came inside, seeing the old farmhouse, patched up and lived in. A genuine, radiant smile spread across her face. It was different from the gentle, wistful smiles I'd seen before. This one was pure happiness. My hero, Chloe said, holding Stella's hand as she watched me cook. I was afraid you'd never come back, so I didn't dare change anything major about the house. My hero was her name for me in college. She'd said I had to be like a superhero, protecting our love from all the villains in the world. If anything stood in our way, I was supposed to smash it. You shouldn't have, I said with a small smile. But thank you. If you hadn't been taking care of it, this place would have crumbled to dust by now. The meal was simple, but the air was thick with unspoken words. Chloe kept looking at me, wanting to say something. You have a question? I finally asked gently. She looked nervous. I waited for you. All this time, my heart tightened. I didn't reply. The truth was, I'd seen her once after I moved in with Isabella. It was the day we confirmed the pregnancy. I saw Chloe across the street from the townhouse. She was about to call out to me, but I couldn't bear it. I couldn't forgive her for disappearing, and I couldn't handle the chasm between her world and mine. So I put on a show. I'd ostentatiously put my hand on Isabella's stomach, playing the part of the doting husband-to-be. I watched the hope in Chloe's eyes die, replaced by a look of utter despair. For months after that, she would come and stand near the house, just staring for hours at a time. After Stella was born, she stopped coming. I thought she'd finally moved on, and now, here she was telling me she was still waiting. But so much had changed. I was damaged goods, more broken than she could ever know. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Daddy, Stella's cheerful voice cut through the tension. Miss Chloe loves you very, very much. The fork in my hand paused midair. I glanced at Chloe. Her face was bright red. She quickly put a piece of chicken on Stella's plate. Sweetie, I love you too. Eat up, okay? Okay. Stella nodded enthusiastically. You should try harder, Miss Chloe. I chuckled. Kids say the darndest things. Don't mind her. Chloe's blush deepened. She nibbled her lip, silent for a long moment. When she finally spoke, it was with a resolve that seemed to take all her courage. Adam, I've been keeping tabs on you all these years. When you were happy, I was happy for you. When you were hurting, I felt it too. Her words sent a shiver through me. I could feel the depth of her affection, but it terrified me. I was terrified of what Isabella could do to her, to Stella, if she ever found us. The rest of the dinner was much more relaxed, thanks to my little girl acting as a social lubricant. The bond between Chloe and me began to tentatively reform. Adam, can I stay here for a while? She asked after we finished eating. I hesitated, but only for a second. I agreed. The following days were a dream. With no news from New York, the knot of anxiety in my chest began to unwind. Chloe slipped into our lives as if she'd always been there. She'd pick Stella up from preschool, help me in the garden, do laundry, cook. It didn't matter if she was some East Coast heiress. Here, she was just Chloe. The whole town was already convinced we were married, praising me for finding such a beautiful, kind, and hard-working wife. Slowly, I began to let my guard down. I started to accept her affection. And Stella was happier than I had ever seen her. She called Chloe Mommy Chloe without a hint of fear and was constantly encouraging her to be more forward with me. But the good days weren't meant to last. After 2 blissful months, Chloe got a call. A family emergency. She had to go back east to handle it personally. 2 days after she left, a convoy of black SUVs rolled into town. Isabella. The sight of her sent an icy chill through my entire body. How? How did she find this place? And what did she want? Leo. Her eyes were red-rimmed and filled with tears. She took a hesitant step toward me. Why would you leave me without a word? I missed you and Lily so much. 3 months. That's how long it had been. She looked haggard, a ghost of the polished, powerful CEO who ruled New York. Her tailored suit was wrinkled, and I could see a startling streak of silver in her dark hair. Her assistant, Ashley, and a team of bodyguards stood behind her, looking utterly exhausted. My mouth was dry. I couldn't speak. Leo. She came closer, reaching for my hand. Are you still angry with me? As she said it, her face was a portrait of guilt and profound regret. Ms. Vance, I'm not angry with you, I said, my voice flat. I just felt that my presence, and Lily's, was getting in the way of your relationship with Julian. She stammered, trying to explain. I was just trying to repay a debt. It's not what you think. You hesitated, I said quietly. The words struck her like a slap. She staggered back, her face draining of all color. Ashley rushed forward to catch her before she fell. Mr. Miller, the assistant snapped, her voice sharp with accusation. Do you have any idea what Ms. Vance has been through these past few months? Ashley don't. Isabella shook her head, trying to silence her. No, I have to say it. For the first time, Ashley defied a direct order. She turned her glare on me. You just disappeared with Lily and Ms. Vance nearly lost her mind. She turned New York upside down looking for you. She hired investigators to search the entire country. Have you seen her? She hasn't slept. She barely eats. Her hair is turning gray from stress. And you're just, what, chilling out here in the countryside? I had expected her to search for me, but only to satisfy her twisted need for control. I never imagined this. This fear, this desperation. It wasn't the reaction of an angry tyrant. It was the reaction of someone terrified of loss. So, I shot back, my voice dripping with ice. We were married for 5 years, and you never even bothered to learn where I was from. My question silenced her. Leo. Isabella stepped forward again, tears streaming down her face. I know I was wrong. I was so wrong. I never tried to understand you. I was terrible to Lily. I'll change, I swear. I'll do anything. Please, just don't leave me. Please come home. I looked at her, this broken, pleading woman, and a strange feeling stirred within me. But then I remembered my daughter's screams, the suffocating darkness, and the cold reality of what she had done. She had killed us. For that, there was no forgiveness. But I couldn't risk provoking her, not with her security team watching. Isabella, I said, my voice empty of all warmth. Did you ever love me? She nodded frantically, her voice desperate. Of course I love you, Leo. You're my husband. Who else would I love? I let out a short, harsh laugh. The divorce papers are final. We're not married anymore. Please, have some self-respect. Her whole body trembled. Can you at least tell me why? Why did you want the divorce? Was it really because of Julian? I didn't want to explain, but I knew if I didn't, she would never leave us in peace. I needed to draw a line, once and for all. I led her inside the small farmhouse. Isabella. I poured her a glass of water, my hand steady. There are some things you need to understand. We sat at the simple wooden table. I know you always had someone else in your heart. I thought if I just tried hard enough, I could eventually win you over. It wasn't until Julian came back that I realized you can't earn love like a promotion. It doesn't matter if it's 3 years, 5 years, or 100. It's all the same. I looked her straight in the eye. The way you look at someone you love. It's obvious, isn't it? Tears welled in her eyes as she shook her head helplessly. Leo, it's not like that. I admit, she sobbed, at first I was just using you to get back at Julian. But over these 5 years, I fell in love with you. I sighed. The words were there, but they felt hollow. That wasn't love, Isabella. You just got used to me. Used to me taking care of you. Used to me giving you everything. Used to having a dog you could control. My words were blunt, but not overtly aggressive. I was still keenly aware of the men waiting outside. No, that's not it, she protested desperately. I know. You left because of Julian, didn't you? You were jealous. I understand. Look, I've already cut all ties with him. I swear. Can we please just go home now? I was genuinely surprised. She'd cut ties with Julian? The Isabella from my past life would have sooner cut off her own arm. How many times do I have to say it? I said, my voice rising with frustration. The problem between us was never Julian. It was you. You don't love me, and you don't love our daughter. So why aren't you happy that we're divorced? This is what you always wanted. Her face went chalk white. The tears flowed freely now, her voice a choked whisper. It's not. The moment I saw those signed divorce papers, my world fell apart. Every day has been agony. When we first got married, I was too proud. I was harsh with you, arrogant. I thought that was how I could get your attention. And when Lily was born, I was a mother for the first time. I didn't know how to love her. I was scared, so I ran away from it. She took a shuddering breath. But I never meant for it to be like this. I regret it so much. I regret hurting you and Lily. Leo, please forgive me. Please take Lily and come home. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Her confession plunged me into a state of deep confusion. It was a bizarre, unsettling thought, but it almost felt like Isabella had been reborn too. But how? She hadn't died. And even if she had, her devotion to Julian was absolute. She would never have cut him off. Isabella, we are divorced. I stated, my voice firm. You don't love me. That is a fact. Can we please just let each other go? Lily is happy here. As her mother, can't you just want that for her? For her to have a happy childhood. She wiped at her tears frantically. Leo, if you and Lily are happy here, then I'll stay here too. We could be a family all together. Just don't leave me alone again. Please? I'm so scared of losing you and Lily. I didn't understand this new Isabella. But one thing was certain. The old Isabella, the one who didn't love us, was the truth. That reality couldn't be changed. Isabella, Lily and I are happier without you. Do you understand? I finally said it, the words hanging in the air between us like a death sentence. The last bit of strength seemed to drain from her body. She crumpled, sliding from her chair to the floor in a heap. Just then, Ashley's frantic shout came from outside. Julian, what are you doing? Let go of the girl. Let her go. My blood froze. Lily. I burst out of the house into the yard and saw it. Julian Croft, his face a twisted mask of rage, was holding a fruit knife to Stella's throat. My daughter was still wearing her little backpack from school. Julian, what the hell do you think you're doing? I yelled, my voice shaking. Let her go. This is between you and me. Isabella scrambled to her feet and staggered out, placing herself in front of me. Julian, it was me who cut you off. If you have a problem, take it up with me. I was stunned. The woman who had always treated us with disdain was now shielding us with her own body. Isabella. Julian's face contorted with rage and hatred. For this pathetic loser and his little brat, you ruined me. You had my assets frozen, my reputation destroyed. Fine, I'll let you feel what real despair is like, all over again. He raised the knife high, aiming for Stella's small chest. My mind went blank. Instinct took over, and I launched myself forward, a desperate, useless missile. He was too far away. The knife was already falling. A primal scream of pure agony tore from my throat. No, I came back to life to protect her, to give us a real life. Why was this happening again? Stop! A sharp, commanding voice cut through the chaos. Julian froze, the knife hovering inches from Stella. He turned his head. Chloe Reed? It was Chloe. She stood at the edge of the yard, flanked by her own team of serious-looking bodyguards. Her beautiful face was etched with a chilling fury. You touch one hair on that child's head, Julian, she said, her voice lethally calm, and I swear I will make you pray for a death that will never come. Julian's face went pale. I knew he hated me, but I never understood why he would be so terrified of Chloe. He suddenly began to laugh, a crazed, unhinged sound. Chloe Reed, to think that you, a princess of the East Coast elite, would lower yourself to defend this piece of trash. He sneered. Fine. You want me to let the brat go? You and Isabella, both of you, spend a night with me. Then maybe I'll consider it. He was completely insane. Done, Chloe and Isabella said in unison. My face was grim, my hands clenched in a fist so tight my knuckles were white. Were they serious? Or was this just a ploy to save Stella? In that moment, I had never hated my own powerlessness more. Julian, Chloe said, her voice dangerously smooth. You chased me for years, didn't you? You wanted me to marry you. Let Stella go, and I'll be your wife. You're lying. Julian shook his head wildly. You never wanted to marry me. You've only ever loved him. Leo, you never gave me the time of day. Why would you marry me now? So, he wasn't a complete idiot. I glanced at Isabella. I wondered how she felt, learning that her precious white moonlight had been obsessed with Chloe all along. Julian, Chloe's voice dropped, turning to ice. Let her go, before I change my mind. You know what I'm capable of. Fear flickered across Julian's face again. He looked at me, his expression one of utter defeat. Leo Miller, you win again, but I won't accept it. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. He raised the knife again, plunging it down toward my daughter's heart. My world narrowed to that single point of flashing steel. I lunged, a desperate, hopeless prayer on my lips. But a shadow blurred past me, moving with impossible speed. Thwack! Before anyone could process what was happening, there was a sickening crunch of body hitting body. A grunt of pain and a furious curse followed. Isabella, are you insane? The shadow. It was Isabella? How could she have moved that fast? In the same instant, another figure, Chloe, shot forward, delivering a brutal kick to Julian's groin and snatching Stella away from him. Stella, are you okay? I finally reached them, my hands frantically checking her for injuries. She had a few scratches on her arms, but otherwise she was unharmed. I'm okay, Daddy, she said, her voice remarkably calm. She hadn't cried once. Isabella's bodyguards swarmed the now writhing Julian, pinning him to the ground. Suddenly, Ashley screamed, Ms. Vance, oh my God, you're bleeding. Someone call an ambulance. I looked over. Isabella was on her knees, struggling. Leo, she gasped, her voice weak. Is Lily okay? I nodded numbly. A look of profound relief washed over Isabella's face, and then her expression went slack, her skin turning a ghastly white. That's when I saw it. The fruit knife was embedded deep in her side, just above her hip. Blood was pulsing from the wound, staining her expensive suit a dark crimson. You're hurt, I managed to say, the words feeling foreign in my mouth. She had saved Stella. She had taken the knife for our daughter. Leo, she panted, forcing the words out. I was wrong. Can you and Lily forgive me? Let's get you to a hospital, I said, avoiding the question. Stella just looked at Isabella with a complicated, unreadable expression. I saw the light in Isabella's eyes dim with disappointment. She coughed, a spray of blood speckling her lips, and then her eyes rolled back and she collapsed. Ashley and the guard scrambled, carrying her to one of the SUVs and speeding off toward the nearest town. Oh, Stella, you scared me to death, Chloe whispered, her voice choked with emotion as she hugged my daughter tightly. It's okay, Mommy Chloe, Stella said, patting her cheek gently. I'm okay. Seeing my daughter so resilient, the terror that had gripped my heart finally began to subside. Leo, Julian gasped from the ground where he was being held. I never meant to hurt your daughter. Didn't mean to hurt her. He kidnapped her, held a knife to her throat, and tried to kill her. He was pathetic, trying to make excuses now that he knew he was finished. Believe me or not, he wheezed, a bloody smile on his face. Whatever a scumbag I am, I wouldn't kill a child. I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes I can never repay. I came here to atone. His voice grew fainter. I just wasn't ready to accept that even if I got a second chance, the ending would still be the same. I still lost. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a strange mix of regret and madness. In our last life, I only meant for you to be punished, not for you to die. A gurgling sound came from his throat. Leo, Lily, I'm sorry. His head lolled to the side. A trickle of black blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. Julian Croft was dead. He got off easy, Chloe said, her face a cold, hard mask. Then she turned, her expression softening as she scooped Stella into her arms. Stella, honey, let's get you to the clinic for a checkup. Okay, Stella nodded, then added, Daddy has to come too. A family should stick together. A blush crept up Chloe's neck as she looked at me, her eyes full of hope. I smiled, stepped forward, and took Stella from her arms. Chloe naturally looped her arm through mine. Are you all right? She asked softly. I shook my head. How did you know to come back? Chloe looked away, hesitating. I went back east to find Julian, she finally admitted. But he'd already disappeared. I had a feeling, a terrible feeling he would follow Isabella here. I came back as fast as I could. I'm just sorry I wasn't faster. Why were you looking for him? I asked. To make him disappear, she said, and the venom in her voice was startling. I didn't press further. We drove to the town clinic. The doctor gave Stella a clean bill of health. We even spoke to the town's only therapist, who confirmed that Stella seemed remarkably resilient and wasn't showing signs of trauma. Maybe, I thought, when you've already died once, you're not afraid of it anymore. As we were leaving, I overheard two nurses talking. Did you hear? That woman who came in with the stab wound. They transferred her to the city hospital. Yeah, I heard. The facility's here. If they didn't transfer her, she probably wouldn't have. The rest of the sentence went unsaid, but we all knew what it meant. Without better care, Isabella would die. We went home. The yard was crawling with police. A white sheet covered Julian's body. I gave my statement, telling them everything that had happened. You know, I think I saw that man, Stella's preschool teacher, who had come over to check on her, suddenly said. He's been around the last few days, playing with Stella during recess. I thought he was a friend of yours, since Stella seemed to know him. A chill went down my spine. Julian had been here for days, and Stella never told me? The man who murdered us in our past life had been near my daughter, and I had no idea. Daddy, Stella tugged on my sleeve, whispering, He told me he was sorry for what he did to us last time, and that he wanted to make up for it this time. He asked me to help him with the play. He said, after he died, I should burn a letter and tell him if Miss Vance and Mommy Chloe were sad. I didn't know if they were sad, but I knew I hated Julian Croft with every fiber of my being. Death was too good for him. Adam, Chloe said, taking my hand. Her voice was quiet. In our last life, after you were gone, Isabella and I cut the flesh from Julian's bones, piece by piece. Her words stunned me into silence. You know about the last life, too? I stared at her, my mind reeling. Ow, I came looking for you, she said, her expression pained. She then filled in the missing pieces. After she learned of my death and Lily's, Isabella had gone on a rampage. She had found Julian and tortured him. Chloe had found them, and together they had enacted a gruesome revenge before taking their own lives. So we were all reborn. Not just me and Stella. Isabella, Chloe, Julian. All of us. That explained everything. Isabella's sudden remorse. Julian's talk of atonement mixed with his lingering madness. And Chloe finding me at the first possible opportunity. No matter what, I wouldn't make the same mistakes again. I knew Chloe loved me, but the wounds from my past life were still too raw. A month later, Chloe had her company's board appoint a new CEO and moved to Ohio to live with me. She was a natural mother to Stella and a patient, loving partner to me. Slowly, I began to heal. We heard that Isabella had survived the surgery, but the knife had damaged her uterus. She could never have children again. Time passed. 6 months later, a recovered Isabella started visiting. She'd drive all the way from New York just to spend a weekend with us. Seeing Chloe there, she never caused a scene. She just focused on Stella, showering her with affection and gifts, trying her own clumsy way to be a mother. Stella was happy, so I didn't stop her. I asked Stella once why she was so nice to the woman who had hurt her. Daddy, she said wisely, I haven't forgiven her. But Mommy Chloe says everyone deserves a chance to make things right. So I'm giving her a chance. Then she grinned. Besides, Daddy, when are you and Mommy Chloe going to give me a baby brother? Chloe and I just smiled at each other. Isabella owed us a debt she could never repay. But I owed Chloe everything. A few months after that, Chloe and I got married in the backyard of the old farmhouse. She was pregnant, her belly just starting to show. Isabella was her maid of honor, and Stella was our flower girl. To my surprise, Chloe's parents came, bearing not threats but blessings and an extravagant dowry. 3 months later, our son was born. Isabella moved in with us to help take care of Chloe, Stella, and the baby. I didn't object. I had to go to New York to oversee the merger of our two family empires, a task Chloe's parents had entrusted to me. I had seen Isabella's genuine remorse and her sincere love for Chloe and the kids. I could trust her to care for my family. But that didn't mean I could forgive her. Another year passed. Stella started elementary school, and our son was learning to talk. Isabella, against her parents' wishes, gifted her entire stake in Vance Industries to Stella, with me as the trustee. She said she was never leaving, that she would spend the rest of her life with her sister Chloe. 18 years later, Stella was a grown woman, marrying a wonderful, hard-working young man she'd met in college. He was from a small town, much like me. Chloe, Isabella, and I couldn't have been happier for her. Her younger brother, now a college student himself, cried his eyes out at the wedding. Another year, and Stella had a child of her own, a beautiful baby girl. We were grandparents. We were getting old. I stepped down as CEO of both companies, handing the reins to Stella and her husband. Our son had no interest in the corporate world. He was a free spirit traveling the globe. He'd somehow managed to fall in love with and marry the only daughter of a tech billionaire, so we never had to worry about him. Time sped up. We were approaching 60. Isabella's old wound, combined with the stress of her past life, had taken its toll. Her health declined rapidly. She was the first of us to go. She died peacefully in her sleep. While sorting through her things, Chloe and I found her journals. Page after page was filled with her elegant script. She wrote of her guilt, of the moment she found out Lily and I were dead, and finally understood the depth of her love for us. She claimed she only ever wanted to help Julian, never imagining her actions would lead to our deaths. It was that realization that fueled her brutal revenge. She wrote about her life with us, the sadness and envy she sometimes felt, but mostly the overwhelming happiness of being part of our family. On the last page, she'd written, "Leo, I failed you in our last life. It's a debt I know I can never repay in this one. Thank you for giving me the chance to be near you and Stella, to watch our children grow up. It was more happiness than I ever deserved. Stella, my sweet girl, I'm so sorry. Mama was wrong. Can you ever forgive me?" At the funeral, our whole family was there. Stella placed a single white lily on the casket. "I forgive you, Mom," she whispered. I said nothing. I took Chloe's hand, and we turned to leave. We had a world to see. In this life, I would never forgive Isabella Vance, but I would let her rest in peace.